What is a freak off? The freak off essentially was something that Cassie said she learned about through Sean Combs about a year into their relationship. He described it as voyeurism.
He had everything to do with what she was wearing. She said she would buy outfits from sex shops and see which one he wanted her to wear. And then inside the actual hotel rooms, their apartments where the freak-offs took place, she said that Combs was in charge of lighting. It began with candles. It then moved to studio lighting.
They might say she's lying. That's going to be a little hard to do with that video.
Diddy's family returned to court at the start of the day, their expressions resolute. However, as the proceedings unfolded, his twin daughters, Jessie and Delilah, left the courthouse looking downcast, saying little. His mother, Janice, along with his sons, King and Justin, were also present, none of them smiling.
We need you to step to the side. Step to the side, please. You look cold. You smile. Are you guys healed? I'm good at it. Step to the side, please.
What's up? What's up? What's your butt?
Big Tell Kitty Walker for their congratulations at NYU, Jeff. Give us a little space. Give us a little space. Give us another space.
Nice little few smiles. You got
Step to the side, please.
Look at this guy getting by his very stuff. Yeah.
Please. Keep us a little space. Watch out. Give us a little space, please. All right, sir. Keep us a little space.
Yeah.
Oh, chocolate eating it. Hey, man, Sean, man, be good, bro. Okay.
Tell
Day 2 of Diddy's trial has come to a close. While prosecutors had a solid showing, it wasn't a complete slam dunk. Still, a major development late in the day could shift the entire direction of the case.
The prosecution's star witness taking the stand, but it was more than that. It was how Cassie took that stand. You could hear a pin drop when those doors opened, and a visibly pregnant Cassie Ventura walking past a man she had not seen in 6.5 years. A man she says violently abused her for a decade. A man the prosecution said trafficked her, but she sat across from him, placed her overcoat behind her, turning her body slightly toward the jury, rubbing her pregnant belly throughout her testimony. Diddy, well, he was more fidgety than he was the day before. He was passing notes. He pushed himself away from the defense table and largely sat like that. They never seemed to make eye contact with one another, not even after she was crying about having loved him once and planning and participating in these freak-off sex parties because she feared him and she wanted to make him happy, but feeling worthless, feeling disgusting because she didn't want to do it. Now, with each moment, the testimony became more and more graphic. Her delivery, though, it never changed. It was, matter of fact, steady, calm. At times, she was even critical of herself, walking us all through how a 10-album record deal came over a 10-year period of abuse and sexual humiliation. And once we hear Cassie's testimony, I understand why the courtroom was so tense.
Let's break it down. Cassie Diddy's ex-girlfriend delivered powerful testimony in court. She claimed that Diddy used to threaten her, saying he would release private graphic videos, what she referred to as freak-off videos if she didn't comply with his demand. According to her, these videos involved her and others, and she said he used them as a tool to intimidate and control her.
That's what makes him unique, though.
Sure, but is that what he's doing? Is he running an entertainment and fashion industry, or is he running essentially a criminal organization?
By the way, we have a poll up right now. You can participate in it. Do you think Cassie Ventura was a victim or partner in this? Ready for this? 82%. Well, this doesn't make sense. 82% say yes. I don't know if that's yes to... I think we need clarification. 82% say victim or partner. We'll get a clarification on that.
By the way, that's my answer to that question.
Oh, okay. 82% say victim. 82% say victim. Maybe based on what we're reporting on the testimony right now.
I mean, I think she is a victim if the allegations are true, but also she is involved in some of the criminal act. I mean, she's getting those prostitutes, right? She's making payments to them, allegedly. She's having them come. So she's involved in some of the alleged criminal activity. And that's an interesting point that wouldn't just apply to her. Other people in his orbit might be some combination of victim and co-conspirator.
But you know what? That changes everything. Because the argument would be, what do you think happens if she says no?
Yeah.
What do you think happens if she says, I'm not in the mood for a freak off tonight. I'm not going to pay the dancer. That's what's going to happen. That video is arguably the most important piece of evidence because it sets the stage when we're talking about coercion or force. Question from Angelina. How old was Cassie when they first started dating? I think she was 19 years old, so you're talking about a 17-year age difference. That's important. I think that's an important factor if you're talking about power and control, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that he's older and obviously has much more power anyway.
Sherry Williams asks, what kind of time is Diddy facing if he's found guilty?
That's a big deal because prosecutors are trying to show that Diddy used force or threats, legally known as coercion. Saying, do what I want, or I'll leak this video, definitely sounds like that. But here's the catch. Cassie didn't specifically say, Diddy told me to do this, or he'd release the video. She didn't make a direct connection between the threat and her actions. If she had, it might have made the case much stronger, maybe even a slam dunk. As it stands, that connection is still a bit unclear, which leaves the jury with questions. Still, the idea that he had that kind of control over her is significant, and it's not an isolated accusation. There have been similar claims before, most notably from Kim Porter, who allegedly planned to expose Diddy's dark side before her suspicious and untimely death.
You see how Albie Short, he came out saying that Kim Porter death needs to be looked into? I think that Al being his ex-wife, he has every right knowing about the stuff that came out about Diddy and what he was doing, you know what I'm saying, what he has done in the past, and people have overlooked. By him coming out and saying that he hoped that he could get her case reopened, there was a guy called John the Paperwork Party. They would put in an open petition to get Kim's case reopened. You understand what I'm saying? So I'll be sure doing this is showing that, you know, he still got love for Quincy's mother. He still want to find out the truth because allegedly Kim was fine the day before and the day of her death. And then now she found in the bed dead from pneumonia. That just don't sound right, bro. That don't sound right at all.
So you feel the same way about her death being such that?
I don't think nobody in America thinks nothing suspicious about Kim's death, bro. If you are rich like that, you could, you know, Kim had, I think, a net worth of like, what, $12 million a year or something like that. Kim could have called any doctor to come over and look at her. If she was that bad, you know, she could have called an ambulance or something like that. Everything is suspicious about her death, bro. And I don't think an autopsy was done on her. And if it was a half job.
You personally, right? What do you think happened to Kim Porter?
If I say something personal, bro, and my belief, and I put it on to the public, then I might be like.
Prosecutors also presented more unsettling testimony from Cassie. She spoke about feeling humiliated and made it clear she never wanted to be part of the freak-offs. She said she brought it up carefully with Diddy, afraid of making him angry. A clear sign of the fear she felt. But while her emotions paint a troubling picture, the legal standard requires more. The jury needs specific evidence of what Diddy said or did to pressure her clear actions or threats that point to coercion.
This alleged criminal enterprise and how, based on the opening statement from yesterday, he didn't just have staff who were helping him commit the crimes but also covering them up. Just now, an update from court. Prosecutor asked Cassie Ventura, how would he keep tabs on you? To which she apparently responds, he didn't live far apart. We didn't live far apart. He'd send security to come find me or a trusted assistant. Like who? David James, Christina Coram, who we all know has been a central figure in this case. Maybe not the criminal case, but she's come up in lawsuits before. The prosecutor asks her, was your relationship exclusive? Ventura replies, no. If she's naming names like David James or Christina Coram, do they have to testify, you think?
I don't think they have to testify, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. I would think this is all planned out, that she's going to indicate some people and then the prosecution is going to bring them in later in the trial to verify, right? One thing you really want to do with a witness like this, the defense is going to say that she's embellishing. They might say she's lying. That's going to be a little hard to do with that video, right? They can't just say she's a liar, but they're going to say she's exaggerating, she's embellishing, they're painting it a certain way because of the case. So you have to bring in these corroborating witnesses and whatever other corroborating evidence you have to verify what it is she's saying. So it would be very useful, for example, if she says, yes, David James came around to check on me on behalf of Mr. Combs, and then David James takes the stand and says, yes, I did that.
Yeah.
Be helpful.
Things took an even more graphic turn when Cassie testified that Diddy or people he directed urinated on her during the so-called freak-offs. The prosecutor asked, "Did you want that?" And Cassie responded bluntly, "No, it was disgusting." I choked. I didn't want anyone to do that. When asked why she didn't say no, she said it should have been obvious she wasn't okay with it. But this is where the defense could push back. They might argue, did you ever say no clearly? Did he force you anyway? Because legally, the case hinges on proof of force or threats. Cassie admitted she never gave clear consent, but she also didn't explicitly say, stop. That leaves the situation in a legal gray area, one the defense is likely to focus on.
It'll be interesting to see how they react and respond to the alleged victim, Cassie Ventura, because she is expecting her third child and is clearly pregnant. So how jurors will kind of see that or visually how they take that into consideration, we don't know. But really, they're supposed to make sure that they stay fair and impartial and pay attention to the facts, which is something even the judge warned them about before they were official jurors.
Diddy maintains his innocence against all charges brought against him. Cassie, the prosecution's key witness in the case against the embattled mogul.
The defense acknowledged that the videos of alleged freak-offs will be shown, but that those videos, they said, didn't come from the government's investigation so much as it came directly from Cassie's phone. But they were essentially trying to raise doubt about why did she hold on to these videos, and again, making this argument that this case is about love and infidelity and money. But the prosecution is saying, no, you will hear from witnesses that will tell you that they were abused, they were kicked, they were punched, they were coerced to taking drugs and to performing sex acts. So this is only the beginning.
The 38-year-old singer said to get emotional on the stand as the prosecution brought up this disturbing security footage CNN uncovered of Diddy beating Cassie in a hotel.
Many people have seen that 2016 video of Sean Combs assaulting his then girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. And the defense said, listen, what you witnessed was wrong. It was inhumane. It was horrible. But that was domestic violence, and they said that is not criminal enterprise, that is not racketeering. But both sides sort of making those compelling arguments and opening statements that for the prosecution, that he is guilty, for the defense obviously saying that he's not guilty of these crimes that he's alleged to have committed.
Cassie's husband, Alex Fine, stepping out in support against the defense's wishes. The judge ruling he'll have to leave should an alleged 2018 Cassie accuses Diddy of comes up after Diddy's lawyers noted they may call him as a witness, claiming he sent the rapper a threatening text over the alleged incident.
We know that according to previous hearings, she could be on that stand for 2 to 3 days.